What if I told you that a driver dominated almost the entire race, led nearly 300 laps, had the crowd completely behind him, and yet somehow still lost at the very end? That's exactly what just happened at Martinsville Speedway, and NASCAR fans are still trying to understand how it all went so wrong for Denny Hamlin. Because while Hamlin looked completely unstoppable for most of the race, another driver was quietly waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when that moment finally came, Chase Elliott made a move that shocked the entire NASCAR world. But that's not even the craziest part of this story. Because while all of this chaos was happening at the front of the field, Shane Van Gisbergen was also fighting one of the toughest battles of his NASCAR career. And what happened during those final laps has fans asking one big question. Did Hamlin just lose the race of the season? Let's break down everything that happened. But before we dive into this insane Martinsville story, if you love NASCAR drama, controversies, and shocking race moments, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps this channel bring you the biggest NASCAR stories every single day. Now, let's get back to what might be one of the wildest Martinsville finishes we've seen in a long time. From the moment the green flag dropped at Cookout 400, it was clear that one driver had something special. And that driver was Denny Hamlin. Lap after lap, Hamlin looked completely in control. His car was fast, his lines were perfect, and every time someone tried to challenge him, he simply pulled away again. By the halfway point of the race, it already felt like this was Hamlin's race to lose. Fans in the grandstands were cheering. Commentators were already talking about his dominance, and the numbers were absolutely insane. Hamlin had led hundreds of laps. At one point, it looked like nobody in the field had anything that could stop him. But racing at Martinsville is never that simple. Because while Hamlin was dominating the race, another team was quietly thinking about strategy. And that team belonged to Chase Elliott. For most of the race, Elliott wasn't the fastest car on track. But what his team understood was something every NASCAR veteran knows. Martinsville is all about timing. The right pit stop, the right restart, the right moment to attack, and as the race moved closer to the final stages, the pressure started building. Pit strategy became everything. One decision, one mistake could completely change the outcome of the race. And that's exactly when Elliott's team decided to take a massive gamble. It was risky, it was aggressive, but if it worked, it could flip the entire race. With the race entering its final laps, the tension at Martinsville was unbelievable. Hamlin was still leading, but the gap between him and Elliott was starting to shrink. Lap after lap, Elliott was getting closer, closer, closer. And suddenly, the fans realized something shocking. This race wasn't over. Then came the moment nobody expected. Elliott made his move, a clean, perfectly timed pass. And just like that, the driver who had dominated the entire race was suddenly no longer leading. The crowd erupted. Commentators couldn't believe it, and Hamlin was left trying to chase down Elliott in the final laps. But it was too late. When the checkered flag finally waved, the result shocked many NASCAR fans. Chase Elliott had won the race. After spending most of the day behind Hamlin, Elliott and his team had pulled off a strategy that completely changed the outcome. Meanwhile, Hamlin crossed the line in second place, and that finish left fans with mixed emotions. Because on one hand, it was an incredible comeback victory for Elliott. But on the other hand, it was a heartbreaking result for Hamlin, a driver who had dominated nearly the entire race, only to lose it at the very end. But while the spotlight was on Elliott and Hamlin, another driver was quietly fighting an intense race further back in the field. That driver was Shane Van Gisbergen. For Gisbergen, Martinsville is one of the toughest tracks in NASCAR. The tight corners, the constant contact, the aggressive racing style. It's very different from what many international drivers are used to. But despite those challenges, SVG showed incredible determination. He battled through traffic, he fought hard on restarts, and he refused to back down against some of NASCAR's biggest stars. By the end of the race, SVG managed to secure a solid finish and gained valuable experience at one of the sport's most demanding tracks. And many fans believe this performance proves something important. Shane Van Gisbergen is still adapting to NASCAR, but he's learning fast. As soon as the race ended, social media exploded. Some fans praised Elliott's brilliant strategy. Others felt bad for Hamlin, believing he deserved the win after such a dominant performance. And many were also impressed by SVG's determination. One fan wrote, "Hamlin led almost the entire race and still lost. Martinsville is brutal." Another fan said, "Elliott's team played this perfectly. That strategy call changed everything." And perhaps the most interesting reaction was about SVG. Many fans believe his aggressive driving style could make him a serious threat in future NASCAR races. And as the dust settled after that unbelievable finish at Martinsville Speedway, one thing became very clear. This race might have just changed the entire momentum of the season. For Chase Elliott, this victory was more than just another win. It was a statement to the entire garage that he and his team are ready to fight for victories again, no matter how difficult the race might look early on. Pulling off a strategic comeback against a driver as experienced as Denny Hamlin is never easy, especially at a track where track position means everything. At the same time, many fans and analysts are still debating what this result means for Hamlin moving forward. After leading such a massive portion of the race, losing the win in the final stages is the kind of moment that drivers never forget. And then there's Shane Van Gisbergen, who continues to gain valuable experience every single week as he adapts to the intense world of NASCAR racing. His determination and aggressive racing style are already earning respect from drivers and fans alike, and many believe it's only a matter of time before he becomes a serious contender. If this Martinsville race proved anything, it's that this NASCAR season is far from predictable, and the next race could deliver even more shocking moments. So in the end, the Cookout 400 at Martinsville gave us everything NASCAR fans love: dominance, strategy, drama, and one shocking finish. Chase Elliott celebrates an incredible victory. Denny Hamlin is left wondering what could have been, and Shane Van Gisbergen continues his intense journey in NASCAR. But the big question now is, was this just one dramatic race? Or is this the beginning of a much bigger rivalry and story for the rest of the NASCAR season? Because if this race proved anything, it's that anything can happen in NASCAR, and the next race might be even crazier.